What was months ago a dream, flying in the air. Many people said it can't be done. Baruch Hashem. Today, Yeshivas Derech HaMelech has touched ground, has become a reality, part of the physical world. Yesterday, Baruch Hashem, we signed the contract for this Beis HaMedrash that you're all sitting in right now. This and the adjacent rooms. It's now Elul, even before Elul, Be'ez Hashem, we rented for Elul. And until Elul, Be'ez Hashem, Yeshivas Derech HaMelech will be sponsoring shirim like the shir tonight, Rabbanim, Darshanim, Tzaddikim, those important people who are the pillars that the yeshiva is built on, those important Rabbanim that are directing the yeshiva. Every single move that the yeshiva makes is being guided by very, very holy, learned, important Rabbanim, and we hope with their guidance that the yeshiva will grow into an institution that will change Klal Yisrael, mamish, in Be'ez Hashem until Mashiach comes.
And all the others who I might not notice. So Baruch Hashem, this is probably the first shmuz given in the Yeshivas Derech HaMelech. And what we will discuss tonight is what is Derech HaMelech? What is the way? What is the way we wish to embark on? We are approaching the Drei Wochen, 3 weeks, Yemei Avelis, Chof Alaf Yom Shebein Shavuos V'Tammuz L'Tisha B'Av. And just a short while ago, across the street in another Bismedish, we spoke about the Posik in Novi, Zechariah, Tzayim Aravi, Tzayim Chamishi, Tzayim Ashvi, Tzayim Asiri, Yiu LeBeis Yisrael Asosoim, V'Lasimcho, U'Lamoyadim Toivim, U'Emes V'Sholom Ha'evu. And many ask, what's the shaykhus between the Reisha of this Posik and the Sefer? Obviously, the Reisha of the Posik is a Haftocha, it's a promise, it's a bracha, a blessing, that all these terrible tzaimis, and all these days that come to commemorate an Arazecha of Avelis will, the Korah B'Yameinu, become Yomim Tovim. But how does that connect with the Sefer of the Posuk, V'hu Emes V'Sholom Ha'evu? In order to understand this Posuk, we have to understand a Ma'amar Chazal, which we learn in the Dorom Daf Pei Aleph, Al Mo'av the Haaretz. Chazal explain the Posuk in Novi, Al Mo'av the Haaretz, Dovaz Anishal, L'Chachomim, L'Neviim, L'Malachei HaShoros, V'lo Pirshuhu. This is the question that was asked to Chachomim, to Neviim, even to Malachim. And they did not know to explain. Al Mo'av the Haaretz, what was the major cause? What was the central cause of Churban Habayis? Ad she'HaKadosh Baruch Hu b'yatzmei pirshu al ozvo misterosi shalei Baruch Hu b'Torah tefilo. They did not recite the Berachos HaTorah. And the Ran on the spot in the Dorom Daf Pei Aleph asks, how could we understand such a perplexing Ma'amar Chazal? They did not say Berachos HaTorah, and that is what brought about Churban Habayis. Berachos HaTorah is a mitzvah say. According to the Rambam, obviously, it isn't even min HaTorah. It's a mitzvah that Rabbanan. The Rambam doesn't bring Berachas HaTorah between the Taryag mitzvahs. So how is it possible? How could we understand that Chorma Bayis was brought about by a minor Aveira of not reciting Berachas HaTorah? And the Ran explains that it is not that they did not say Berachas HaTorah, but how come they didn't say Berachas HaTorah? Lo hoisu HaTorah chashuvo b'yeineihem, v'lo osku bo lishma. Torah wasn't enough important to them. Torah wasn't enough central to their lives, and that is why they didn't say Berachas HaTorah. So it's not the fact or the transgression that they didn't say Berachas HaTorah that brought about Chorma Bayis, but rather the origin, the yesod. How come they didn't say Berachas HaTorah? Lo hoisu HaTorah chashuva b'yeineihem v'lo osku bo lishma. So obviously, as we approach these same days, these days of Chorm, and Chazal teach us that Chorma Bayis is not something that belongs to the past. And when we come and approach these days, B'chol Shana V'Shana, and every year, this is not nostalgia, it's not reminiscing, it's not remembering something that happened once upon a time in the distant past. But actually, this is a Chorban that's mischadish b'chol shana v'shana. For Chazal teach us, Kol shelo nibna beis hamikdash b'yomav kilu chorav b'yomav. If we would be ra'ui to Ashkoras Hashchina, we would be zeicher to the beis hamikdash rege kememra. HaKadosh Baruch Hu doesn't have any difficulty in giving us a beis hamikdash. The Bayis HaShlishi, Rashi and Tosfos, and various Mekoimis and Shas, and Rosh Hashanah daf Lamed Aleph, and Shavuos daf Tesvav, various Mekoimis in Shas, and Sukkot daf Mem Aleph, I think 3 times in Shas, Rashi and Tosfos say that the Bayis HaShlishi banui v'mishuch al yered eish min hashumayim. It won't take years to build. It won't be any physical effort. The Kodesh Baruch Hu will give us a Beis HaMikdash. So in the moment that we would be fitting for a Beis HaMikdash, in that instant that we will be metaken, the reasons, the causes that caused Chorban Beis HaMikdash, we will have a Beis HaMikdash. And if we don't have a Beis HaMikdash, then obviously we aren't fitting. We still have much work to do. We still weren't metaken, the causes that brought about the Chorban Bayis in the first place. And that is why in these times, more than in any other time, we have to make a tremendous effort and avoid us a nefesh to be metaken. And we have to think and contemplate, what is Torah in our lives? What is life without Torah? The Rambam writes in Perek Zayin of Hilchos Roitzeach, when the Rambam comes to explain a halacha that we learn in Malkus Daf Yud. The Malkus Daf Yud, Chazal teach us, Talmid shegolo maglen rabbi imoi. Lo aleinu, if a Talmud killed a person b'shoigig, and the din of a Roitzeach b'shoigig is that he has to go to Ir Miklot, he has to go to Golus. Talmid shegolo maglen rabbi imoi. Why? Why is the Rav to blame? He didn't kill anyone. So why should he have to go to Ir Miklot? Chazal explained, this is not an oynish for the Rav, for the Rosh Yeshiva, but rather, if the Torah says, V'nas al achas ha'uram u'ela b'chai, avid le'chayusa, we have to give him the possibility to live. We have to give him life sustenance. And the Rambam explains, Chayei balei ha'chochma u'mivaksheho, le'loi talmud, kemisa chashuvim. V'nas al achas ha'oram ha'ela b'chai. How could one live without a Rebbe? How could one live without a Torah leader that should teach him Torah? Chayei balei ha'chochma u'mivaksheho, le'loi talmud, kemisa chashuvim. And this is a statement we have to chazer, and we have to remember, and we have to go over every day and every night. Chayei balei ha'chochma u'mivaksheho, le'loi talmud, kemisa chashuvim. And whenever I quote this Ma'amar Chazal, I ask a very simple question. Talmud shegolo maglen rabbi imoy. What type of Rosh Yeshiva are we dealing with? Is this a Rav that has one single Talmud, and that single Tachshit is a Roitzeach? such a Rosh Yeshiva Ladati, he shouldn't be sent to Ian Miklat. He should be sent home. Sit in your house and don't go out of your house. A Rosh Yeshiva that has one single Talmud, and that big tachshet of his is that Ritzeach Bishgogo, I wouldn't send him to Ian Miklat. I would give him his pension and let him write Sforim, sit at home and write Sforim. Stop teaching. So obviously we're dealing with a normal Rosh Yeshiva. With a normal Rosh Yeshiva, probably has tens of Talmidim, maybe hundreds, maybe thousands of Talmidim. So how do we jeopardize all those other Talmidim and take their beloved Rosh Yeshiva and send them far away to a near Miklat? I mean, Tzava HaChayim, the mitzvah of life, we find more than once in Torah's Moshe. It is true in the parasha of Iyah Miklat, the pasuk says, "V'nas alachas ahura meila v'chai." But we all remember the pasuk in Parashas Achay Mois, "Eila hadvorim asher yasa oisam odam v'chai behem." So each and every one of us, every Ben Yisrael has the mitzvah of v'chai bohem. So how do we jeopardize all those other Talmidim, whether they're tens or hundreds or thousands, and take the Rosh Yeshiva and send them far away to a near Miklat? I think the simple answer is we tell all those other Talmidim, however many they may be, you could also go along to the near Miklat. You could go in. He never can't come out. And that is why we would say to all those other Talmidim, Im chafetzei chayim atem, if you truly want life, then go along to the Miklat. Have a goyel l'mukum Torah. Like the Gemara says in Sanhedrin, the Flana Dalad, Achrei Rabbi Akiva l'bnei Barak, Achrei Rabbi Eliezer l'Lud, Achrei Harav l'Iyah Miklat. That is your place, because that is where your Rebbe will be. V'chayei balei ha'chochmu mevaksheu l'loi Talmud k'misach hashuvim. So obviously, every Jew has to feel, every Yid has to feel that is the tachlis of our life. Dveikis and Torah and Talmud and Torah. Could we say, with all simplicity, that the tachlis of our life is Talmud Torah? Maybe Kiyum HaMitzvahs, maybe Midas Toivos, maybe all of these together? There is a stira in Shabbos Daf Lamed Aleph. And what's startling is that these two Mamorim, that obviously seem to be soisa, to contradict one another, they're both bezachar in the same daf, in the same chapter, in the same shtickle Gemara, in Shabbos Daf Lamed Aleph, Omed Aleph, in the last line in Omed Aleph. I think it's Rabbi Baravu or Rabbi Bachona says, Mishi yesh lo Torah ve'ein lo yiras shomayim, moshul lemisha masru lo mafteches ha'pnimiyos v'lo masru lo mafteches ha'chitzonius. It's a person that learns Torah, and he has a lack of yiras shomayim. He is moshul to a person that got the inner keys, but he doesn't have the keys to the outside door. So he can't even approach, he can't even get in. So this mashal would indicate that Yiras Shamayim is the outside door. And the deeper you go in, to the interior, to the chambers, to the pnim, to the toich, to the pnimius, that is where Torah is. But then Chazal go on to give us another mashal. And in the other mashal, Chazal say, Mishi yesh lo Torah, ve'ein bo Yiras Shamayim. That is already the Flamed Aleph of Medbeis. Chachamim say about him, Chaval al mandeles ledarta, vetara ledarta, Ovid. Chaval al mandeles ledarta. You don't have a house, so why do you build a beautiful shar? This mashal would indicate that if you have Torah, you have the shar, the door from the outside, but you're lacking the dira. So these two mishalim, which both are stated al Mishi yesh lo Torah v'yein lo Yiras Shamayim, seem to contradict one the other. On one hand, Chazal say that he has the inner keys, he doesn't have the outer keys, indicating that Yiras Shamayim is the outer door and the Pnimius is Torah. On the other hand, saying a person that has Torah and doesn't have Yiras Shamayim, Mikach Osam and a Sefer, you have a beautiful shah, but you don't even have a house. And this does not seem to be a machlokes, but rather two mamorim that are mechazik one another. And the only explanation could be that the shleimus of a yid is in Torah and in Yiras Shamayim. And whoever is lacking in one of the two is definitely lacking in the shleimus of a yid and in kirvis elokim. There's a word of the Baal Shem Tov, a magnificent word, which many of his Talmidim quote. When Yaakov Avini goes to sleep and he dreams, and in his dream, that's the dream of Sulam Yaakov, he sees the ladder. Mutza ba'artzon, v'roishoi magia hashomaymo, v'malachei elokim, oilem v'yoredem boi. And in Midrash Chazal, and in Sifra Kabbalah, we have so many pirushim, so many explanations what this cholam was. What's the mashal? What's the nimshal? What it comes to teach us? What should we learn from this mashal? And the Baal Shem Tov says that when Yaakov Avini gets up and he says, "Ma noiro hamoka mazeh, ein ze kiyem beis elokim v'zeh shar hashomayim." The Baal Shem Tov said, "Ein ze kiyem beis elokim." What I learned in this dream, and the Mavish Shomish says that in this dream Yaakov was mazik, the highest madregis and asagas of Kirvis Elokim, of Ahavas Hashem, and of Yiras Elokim. And Yaakov Avini says with a shudder, Ein zeh ki em beis Elokim v'zeh. All the Torah I learned 14 years b'beis Shem v'Eva, that was all Shar HaShomayim. Chaval al man deles le'darta, v'tara le'darta ovid. Everything I learned b'beis Shem v'Eva was only the Shar. That was Tara le'darta. What was nisgala to me now in this dream, that is the bias. That is the darta. That is the bias in itself. So this would mean, seemingly to indicate, that the tachlas of a yid is Yiras Shamayim. But on the other hand, Chazal say, Yiras Shamayim is the Maftechas of Chitzonius, Torah is the Maftechas of Pnimius. The shleimus of a yid is in Torah, in Yiras Shamayim, in Dikdek HaMitzvahs, in Midas Toilis. Avraham Avinu was the first Rosh Hashiva. Maybe not the first, but I think the foremost. Shem Ve'ever had yeshivas before Avraham Avinu. In Shem HaGedolim, not in Shem HaGedolim, but rather in Seder HaDoilis. Seder HaDoilis makes a cheshbon. And he says that Avraham Avinu learned 8 years by Noach. He was a Talmud of Noach. But Avraham Avinu was the first on whom Chazal say, in Yunad Afos Chav Chesed Beis, Avraham Zokim in Yeshivah. So the first major yeshiva at Beis Yisrael, Shem Ve'ever were not Yidden. Avraham Avinu was a Yid. There's a machlokes in the Rishonim whether the Ovis had Din Yisrael or Din Ben Noach. But the Chaim Brisker said, and I think that's so simple and so clear, one just cannot say differently. This is the Yesod which one cannot dispute. The machlokes in the Rishonim is whether the Ovis had Din Yisrael or Din Ben Noach. But Kedushas Yisrael it definitely had. It would seem to be totally unreasonable and unacceptable to maintain that Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov weren't Yidden, were Goyim. This is something that cannot be said. But Brisbane Absorim, Avraham Avinu became a Yid, and Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov is Aviseinu HaKadoshim. Kedushas Yisrael started with Avraham Avinu, even if there was not yet a Din Yisrael until Matan Torah. So Avraham Avinu obviously was the first Rosh Hashiva, as the Gemara says in Yuma Daf Chos Chesed Beis. V'yameim shel Abaseinu lo yposku yeshiva mehem. Avraham zokan v'yoshev b'yeshiva, Yitzchak zokan v'yoshev b'yeshiva, Yaakov zokan v'yoshev b'yeshiva. And since then, the Shvatim, Shiftei Kol. V'yameim shel Abaseinu lo yposku yeshiva mehem. So if Avraham Avinu was the first and greatest Rosh Hashiva, we would like to know who are his Talmidim. There is one source in Chazal which deals with Talmidov Shel Avraham Avinu, and that is the Mishnah Perikei of Maseches Avos. When the Mishnah says, Kol sheyesh bo ayin toivo, v'ruach nemucho, v'nefesh shpelo, harayu mitalmidov Shel Avraham Avinu. And just a week ago in Parshas Balak we read about Bilam. Bilam was a big Navi. And after Piken Chazal say in that same Mishnah, Kol sheyesh bo ayin ra, v'ruach gevoyo, v'nefesh l'chavo, hareu mitalmidav shel Bilam. So Chazal don't say that Talmidav Shel Avraham Avinu were all Boki B'Shas, Boki in Rambam, Avraham Avinu was Makam Kolam Torah Kula Nitno. To perform all the mitzvahs, he had to know all the Hagdoras of the mitzvahs and all the dinim of the mitzvahs. So obviously, Avraham Avinu had to be a tremendous Goyim. But Talmidov Shel Avraham Avinu aren't necessarily the great Gedolim and the great Charifim and Bekiyim, but Kol Sheyesh Bo Ayin Toivo, V'ruach Numucho, V'nefesh Shmeiro. So in this source, we also see the centrality and the importance of Midas Toivus, because the Shleimus of a Yid is with Avis Torah, and with Yirah Shamayim, and Dikta Kedin, and Midas Toivus, and Afal Piken. We cannot escape what is clear from Shas, from Bavli, Yerushalmi, Zohar, and Midrash Chazal. Talmud Torah Keneged Kilim. Not that Talmud Torah in itself is the Tachlis. In Yevomis Daf Kuf Tes, Chazal say, Kol sheyesh bo Torah, Kol oimer, ein li elo Torah, af Torah ein loi. Kol oimer, ein li elo Torah, af Torah ein loi. Chazal do not say that a person that says ein li elo Torah, that is not sufficient. No, not only isn't it sufficient, not only is it enough, af Torah ein loi, that wouldn't even be considered Torah. You cannot be a ben Torah by learning Torah alone and by saying ein li elo Torah. But on the other hand, Torah is shokol keneged kol hamitzvos. Why? Talmud Godel shetalmud me'miladei ma'aseh, Talmud Torah keneged kulam, Dover echad min haTorah shokol keneged kol hamitzvos. That is the lashon of Chazal and Medrash. Because Torah is not only a goal, Torah is also the method, the means, the derech to achieve all the other goals a Yid must have. They could all be achieved and acquired by Talmud Torah and only by Talmud Torah. And that is why Chazal stressed the importance of Talmud Torah and the importance of Simchas HaTorah and Shashua Shel Torah. That is why Chazal say, Kishaloi hoisu HaTorah chashuva b'yeineihem v'loi osku bo l'shmo. That is what brought about Chorm HaBayis. I many times said, in Berchas HaTorah we have three brachas. The first bracha, obviously, is Berchas HaMitzvahs. That is the Nusach HaBracha. That is the way the bracha is formulated. Asher kiddushonu b'mitzvosav v'tzivonu lasik b'divrei Torah. Obviously, that would indicate this is Berchas HaMitzvah. The major bracha, which Chazal call Ma'ula Shebebrachos, is obviously Berchas HaShevach. Asher bacha bonu v'kol yamim. And there is another bracha in between, which is a bracha hasmucha lechavarto, which isn't formulated like a bracha in itself. What is the essence of this bracha? This bracha has two components, two parts. V'haravnu Hashem Elokeinu es divrei toroscho b'finu, which is a bakasha that we should feel the mesikas of Torah, areidas of Torah, and then there's another bakasha. V'nihiyeh anachnu v'tzetzuenu v'tzetzuenu kolonu yogi shemecho v'londes v'secho l'shmo. Never do we have two different bakashas in one bracha. That is a major klal. Never do we have two different bakashas in one bracha. There has to be some kesher, some relationship between these two bakashas. And to me the kesher is very clear and self-evident, very obvious, if we truly hope to have our children go in our ways, and they too should be Lomdei Seirosecho and Oihavei Seirosecho. Then we have to ask and daven to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, V'haravnu Hashem Elokeinu es divrei toroscho b'finu. And only if we would feel mesikas HaTorah, and I with children, looking at how us would see our ahavas Torah, would see how Torah brings simcha into our lives, into our homes, into our families. Only then could we truly hope. V'nihiyeh anachnu v'tzetzuenu kulanu yoder sorosecho v'loidei sorosecho lishmo. That is the kesher between the two parts of this bracha. And each and every one of those present in this Beis Medrash of Yeshivas Derech HaMelech, some of you are young kids, others obviously are parents to young children. Whatever you will do in the future, probably some of you will be Marbitzei Torah. I would wish to hope that you will all be Marbitzei Torah. Obviously, some of you will be in business, in other walks of life. But what is of utmost importance to us all, whatever we do in the future, V'harav no Hashem Elokeinu es divrei Torah only then could we truly hope v'nihye anachnu v'tzetzuenu kulanu yoidei shumecho v'avei v'loim leisarosecho lishmo. Simchas HaTorah and Shashua Shel Torah is the most basic of Yesodus in our quest to Yedias HaTorah, to Shleimus HaTorah. I quoted the Baal Shem Tov before. Ein zeki em beis Elokim v'zeh shar hashamayim. But if it will occur to any one of you that according to the Baal Shem Tov there is a lesser degree of importance to Shashua Shel Torah, that is a terrible mistake. The Degel Machne Ephraim and Parshas B'Shalach. Some of you probably know who the Degel Machne Ephraim was. He was a Talmud, one of the great Talmidim, and an Einikel, a grandson of the Baal Shem Tov. And in Parshas B'Shalach he quotes in the name of the Baal Shem Tov. Which brucha did they miss when Chazal say, Shalei Bochu B'Torah Tchiloch B'Yemei HaChorban? If any one of you would be asked, which brucha did they let out? Probably we would say they didn't say any of the three brachas. Why should we guess or assume that they said one bracha and they left out the other? So probably they didn't say any of the three. Others would say probably they missed out the Mikra bracha, the major bracha. Chazal called Ma'urish Brachas, which is bracha number 3, Asher Bacha Banu. The Degel brings that he heard from the Baal Shem Tov. They missed out, they didn't say the bracha, V'harav no Hashem Elokeinu es divrei Torah b'finu. They said the first, they said the last. They didn't say the middle bracha. And the Degel Machne Ephraim says, V'zeh pele. And it truly is a pele. It's a tremendous pele. If they said the first, they said the last. Why did they skip the middle bracha? But the essence of this perish of the Baal Shem Tov, which obviously was said the Ruach HaKodesh, is they didn't daven for Mesikas HaTorah. Maybe they were such big Hasidim that they thought that Mesikas HaTorah isn't that important. The Eglei Tal, in his magnificent Akdome to his Sefer, brings that there are some Hasidim that think that one should learn with Mesiras Nefesh, one should learn without Hanoah, one should learn without Simcha, without Yeshua, without Mesikas, because then his Torah will have a greater degree of Mesiras Nefesh, a greater degree of Yisurim. The Eglei Tal says that's a terrible mistake, but obviously there were some Hasidim that went in that shitta. That is what the Eglei Tal says. Maybe in some later opportunity I will show you the sources of those who had such a shitta. That is not too late. Some other time we will deal with that question. But the Baal Shem Tov teaches us. B'yamei HaChorban, they said Berchas HaMitzvah, they said Berchas HaShevach, but they did not daven for Mesikas HaTorah, and that is what brought about Chorban Bayis. This is something we have to think about. They obviously learned. What is Torah Lishma? There are two very clear shittas in Torah Lishma. Nefesh HaChaim, Beis Midrash Shel Agoim. In Sha'ar Dalad, the Nefesh HaChaim says Torah Lishma is learning for the love of Torah. Learning for the love of Torah. Learning because we love to learn. We enjoy learning. That is Torah Lishma. The Nefesh HaChaim brings a lie from the Rosh in Adoram Dafni and Aleph. But the strongest lie is Chazal do not say Torah Lishma, but rather Torah Lishma B'Loshan Nekeva, We always refer to HaKadosh Baruch Hu Yisbarach Shemai B'Lashon Zachar. So what do Chazal mean when they say Torah Lishma? Obviously, the Nefesh HaChaim says Torah L'Shem Torah, learning for the love of Torah. The Talmidim of the Baal Shem Tov bring Torah, L'Shem Dveikis Ba'oisiyas HaTorah. That's in Tolos Yaakov Yosef and Pashas Vayetzei. Torah L'Shem Ashchas Hashchina, Torah L'Shmoi Shel HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And to me it is very clear that Elu ve'elu Divrei Elokim Chaim. I dealt with this question in one of my Sforim, in the Akdamah to Minchas Oshram Rabbi Asher. To me it is very clear, Elu ve'elu Divrei Elokim Chaim. The Rambam in Perikud of Hilchos Tshuva is Mefurish, the shit of the Baal Shem Tov, while the Rosh in the Dom Daf Nun Aleph is the shit of Nefesh HaChaim. Have ka'avoda ma'misham shemesarav shelo al manach l'kabel pras. That's a Gemara in Avodah Zarah Chaf Amud Aleph. It's also a Mishnah Novis. But in Avodah Zarah Chaf Amud Aleph, Rashi writes, and this is a tremendous makor, in my opinion. Rashi writes, when we are commanded by Chazal, Havu ka'avoda ma'misham shemesarav shelo al manach l'kabel pras, Rashi writes, Ma'ahavas shemoy u'ma'ahavas imrei piv. What's the kefal halosh? What do these two things mean? Ma'ahavas shemoy u'ma'ahavas imrei piv. To me it's very clear that Rashi combines the Baal Shem Tov and the Nefesh HaChaim. Ma'ahavas shemoy. We learn for the love of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. We learn because HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants us to learn. And we love HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And we know that the Torah is His. And by learning Torah, we can have Dveikis on HaKadosh Baruch Hu. But that is not enough. Ma'ahavas shumoi u'ma'ahavas imrei piv. We also learn for the love of Torah. Because we love HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and we also love His Torah, and we love to learn His Torah. And that is why the Baal Shem Tov says, the Yemei HaChorban, they did not say, V'harav no Hashem Elokeinu as divrei Torah Schufi. So, Torah Talmidim, when we learn, we will try to learn Ma'ahavas Shemoy, and we will put a great davish and a great emphasis on Ahavas Imrei Piv, Simchas HaTorah and Shashua Shel Torah. Rabbeinu Yerni writes in Perek Dalad of Avos. In Perek Dalad of Masechtas Avos, Kisha'ato omel dalef ne'mi ato omel. Writes Rabbeinu Yerni. Kisha'ato misyageya b'Torah tishta'asheya bo. Yegias HaTorah and Shashua seem to be a part of the Satzer. Generally speaking, Yegia and Shashua are always a part of the Satzer. People usually work 5 days a week, 6 days a week, and then they have a weekend. So we use the weekend for Menucha and Kedusha, for Kedushas HaShabbos. Other people in this big planet use the weekend for Shashua. Rest, vacation. People work 11 months a year, and then they go to Honolulu or wherever they go just for vacation, just to have a good time. So obviously, Yegia and Shashua don't go together. They are two different aspects of life, not by us. Kisha'ato misyageya bo, tishta'asheya bo. We love Yegia, and we are Yegeyim b'shashua. That way, and only that way, could we truly achieve great heights in Torah. Only by combining Yegia and Shashua could we truly achieve Kislo Shel Torah. And that would be our effort. To dedicate ourselves and to devote everything we have to Shashua Shel Torah, to Yegia Torah, to Shleimus of Torah, trying to learn Torah Lishma, trying to be Sameach B'divrei Torah, trying to achieve Tikkun Amidus and the Veikis and HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and Yerushalayim, and Dikdikadim, and Avodah, and Chasidus. Because that is the shleimus of every Ish Yisrael. Torah is not only a goal, Torah is a derech, That is the Derech HaMelech. It is not only an end to itself, it is also the means of achieving everything that he is to achieve on this world. Talmud Torah keneged kulam, ki Talmud Gadol, sheTalmid mevir lidei mais. So Simchas Torah should be one of the greatest emphasis we should try to achieve. Simchas Torah sha'ashua shel Torah. I remember many years ago, I once came into one of the Gedolim in America, and he asked me something that was bothering him at that moment. There's one pasuk that says, Eretz Zovas Cholav Idvash. And this pasuk Cholav is stated before Dvash. And then there's another pasuk that says, Dvash v'Cholav Tachas L'Shreinaich. So why in one pasuk would Cholav be put before Dvash and another pasuk Dvash before Cholav? And with Siyata D'Shmaya on the spot I said, I think the tshuva is very obvious, and it's very simple, it's very pashut. When we are dealing with actual Cholav and Dvash, Cholav is vastly more important than Dvash. Without Cholav, we can imagine no existence. There could be no humankind without Cholav. Tinek hayonik mishdayimoy. Even in our modern times, I mean, basically babies need milk. It's not only us. There would be no mammals on this world without Cholav. And how would the world seem? How would it look without Cholav? The whole world will be full of snakes and reptiles and lizards, but not much else. So without Vash, I think we could get along. The biggest problem we would have without Vash, obviously, would be, what do we do with the apple? Beleil Sheni Shel Rosh Hashanah. I don't think we will have any other major problem. And the Gedolei Yisrael, the Poskim, with their great creative minds, probably would solve the problem of Yerotzin Shetachadash Aleinu Shalom Toiv V'Nesukkah. So obviously, when we are dealing with Shevach HaOretz, Cholav is greatly more important than Vash. And that is why the Pasuk states Cholav and then Dvash. Eretz Zovas Cholav and Dvash. But the other Pasuk in Mishlei, Dvash v'Cholav Tachas L'Shoinech, refers to Talmud Torah. And that is the reason. That's what the Poskim explain in Siman Tov Tzadik Dalad in Shulchan Aruch HaChaim in Hilchos Chag HaShavuos. Chag HaShavuos, the minig is to eat Machole Cholav v'Dvash al Shem HaPasuk, Dvash v'Cholav Tachas L'Shoinech. So this pasuk refers to Talmud Torah. Benes Kunze Torah. When we are dealing with Torah, the Vash should be put before Cholav. What is the Vash? What is Duvsha Shel Torah? Anybody could guess. I'm sure you all guess. Hamesukim midvash v'noifes tzufim. Duvsha Shel Torah means Sha'ashua. Duvsha Shel Torah means the sweetness of Torah, the beauty of Torah. Shashua and Simcha. How would we explain Chelba Shel Torah? What does Cholav Shel Torah mean? I think this is something we learn from Brochas Samach Gimel Amud Beis. Brochas Samach Gimel Amud Beis, Chazal explain another pasuk which is also in Mishlei. Mai dechsiv ki mitz Cholav yotzi chemo. Chazal explain, B'mi atu moitze chemo shel Torah. B'mi shemeiki oleo, Cholav shiyonak mishdei yemoi. When a person comes to that great level, that tremendous degree of Omal and of Yegiya, shemeiki oleo, he throws out the Cholav, shiyonak mishdei yemoi. That is when he could achieve Chelba and Chemo shel Torah. So obviously Dvash is the sweetness of Torah. Cholav is the Omal and the Yegiya of Torah. When it's comes to Torah, we should put the Dvash before Cholav. Because only those that have the schiyah to taste the sweetness of Torah, they will be able to achieve the true madrega of Omal and of Yegiya. And that's why we should all make an effort and do everything we can to give our Talmidim Duvsha Shel Torah. The seekers of Torah, the clarity of Torah, the hearers of Torah, the hekef of Torah, they should come to appreciate and love Torah. And then we could all achieve also Chelbo Shel Torah, Chemo Shel Torah b'misha meki uleyu, Cholav Shliyim HaKamishdeyim. So this is the way we have to learn. And this is what we have to think about when we approach the 3 weeks of Chorban and of Avelis. One of the most important Yesodis B'chlal and Yiddish Leben in Jewish life is Ahavas Leim. And it's one of the basic ingredients also for Kisla Shel Torah, Midas Toivus. Rabbeinu Yonah writes in Ovis once again, La'olam lo tishkan ha-Torah. Torah cannot dwell. La'olam lo tishkan ha-Torah. Ela b'guf shu metukan v'midas Toivus. We cannot be zeicha to any true madrega in Torah without Midas Toivus. Torah doesn't stick to people that don't work on their Midas. These are the Yesodis of Kinyan Torah. Bayis Rishoin, Chorav, Ba'avoin Bittul Torah. This is the way we started our Shmuz tonight. The Gemara in the Dom Daf Pei Aleph. Ha'mo'av d'oretz shelei bochu b'Torah tchera. Bayis Sheni was Chorav al Sinas Kinam. And I think that is the pasuk. Tzayim Aravi v'tzayim HaChamishi tzayim HaShvi v'tzayim HaAsiri Yola Beis Yisrael Asosoin v'losimchu l'moyadim toivim. You will ask, when? When will this beautiful prophecy come about? When will be Zaycha? When will we be Zaycha? That Tzayim HaShvi, Tzayim HaAsiri, Tzayim HaRavi, Tzayim HaChamishi should be L'sosim v'losimchu l'moyadim toivim. The Navi answers, when you will learn to cherish and to love emes. Ve'ein emes ela Torah. Torah is emes. Emes is chesama shel HaKodesh Baruch Hu. When you will learn to love Torah, love emes, and you will be metaken the chorban of Bayis Lishon, and you will learn to love Shalom and Ahavas Leim, and you will be metaken the sibah of chorban Bayis Sheni. Then we will be zeicher. V'tzayim Aravi, v'tzayim HaChamishi, v'tzayim HaShvi, v'tzayim HaAsiri. Yiyu leBeis Yisrael, leSosoin, v'leSimcho, u'lemoyadim toivim. So, Choshev Alamdonim, Choshev Talmidim, young and old alike, Yiros and Mushiras Yata D'Shmayim. In this base of Medrash in Derech HaMelech, and wherever we are, HaKodesh Baruch Hu Yitn b'libeinu ahavos v'yirosoi lasis l'tzonim b'leiv shalom. We should all be dovek in Torah. We should be zeicha to duvshe shel Torah and to chelbe shel Torah, to omol and to sha'ashua, to simchas Torah, mesikas Torah, and then we will be zeicha v'ni anachnu v'tzetzuenu kulanu yodi shemecho v'lomdei sel secho l'shmoch. And when we truly will be oyavei Torah and amelei Torah, and smeichem b'divrei Torah, together with Kol Beis Yisrael, or emes v'sholom ahevu, we will be zeicha. Tzayim Aravi v'tzayim HaChamishi, tzayim HaShvi v'tzayim HaAsiri, Yiyu leBeis Yisrael, leSosim v'leSimcho, u'lemoyadim toivim, v'bias goel tzedek, v'binyan Beis HaMikdash b'mheiro v'yomeinu amen.